The views, information, or opinions expressed during this series are solely those of the individuals involved, and do not necessarily represent those of the organizations they are affiliated with, and its employees. Let's get dialed in.
There will always be somebody stronger, faster, and smarter than you. Surviving depends on your adaptability to change. Those who are the most adaptable are dialed in. Hello and welcome to the show. This is Dialed In, partnered with Elevate Exchange. I'm your host, Kyle Burt. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Hello, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope. We're firing on all cylinders this morning. It's 12 o'clock. It's lunchtime here in the central United States, central time zone. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We got a great show lined up for you today. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a live podcast interviewing leaders that are deemed to be the most adaptable to change. On this show, we believe in AQ, adaptability quotient, over IQ and over EQ even. We believe in just being adaptable, especially in these market conditions and these climates, the climate that we currently all live in now. Adaptability is everything. It really is. Got a couple comments out here. What's going on, Robert Duran from Albuquerque? Thanks again, man. You're always a weekly supporter. Appreciate seeing your comments pop up in the stream here. Always appreciate that, man. And as we get going here, Elevate Exchange community for IT leaders by IT leaders. We have an Elevate Exchange event coming up, so get ready to screenshot this if you're looking to register. It's going to be Wednesday, September 17th, 5 to 7 p.m. It's a virtual happy hour. We got some really great double feature here going on. Sharif Mityas, Chief Experience Officer for Fridays, and Ken Piddington, CIO, US Silica. Gonna have some great conversation and fun there. Registration link is down there at the bottom, so screenshot this before I take it away. Cool. And so without further ado, we're going to bring up our guest today. This is his, I believe it's his third time, Deepak. Your third time being on the show, being on Dialed In. So not very many people have been on the show even twice, and Deepak is now on here a third time. So that's really a testament to the wisdom that he brings as an innovation and IT thought leader. We're going to be talking about beating the pandemic blues for corporate, talking about business resilience and cost optimization. Right, it seems to be like the hottest topic right now. We're going to get into more the strategy of it, yes, but we're going to get into the more of the tactics of this as well. So hope this will be a very strategic and tactical presentation. So without further ado, let me bring Deepak onto the main stage here. Welcome, Deepak.
Hey.
Third time, man.
Yeah, third time should be a charm, as they say, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
As I saw the credits roll by, I realized, hey, since the first time I came here, and now I'm 20 pounds lighter. So that's
that's awesome. That's awesome. Usually it's the opposite. Usually you get like COVID, it's like the COVID 20 or the COVID 15, right? You're supposed to add pounds, but yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good. Happy proud for you.
Yeah.
So you ready to get dialed in today?
Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show. It's always a pleasure, and it's great fun being on your show. So I'm glad I'm here again.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the main topic here. So beating the corporate blues. Why don't you help us set the stage? What's the context for what you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so means what I wanted to talk about and what is top in the mind of most people is when this year started, 2020, everybody had great plans about it. Most companies, individuals, everybody had great plans about what's going to happen in 2020. And since 2020 has always been the metaphor for perfect vision, many company plans and everything were laid around, what's going to happen in 2020? So everything was supposed to be perfect. And then COVID-19 happened, and we all know what's happened to 2020. We all wish that this year would rather go away and we get into 2021 as fast as possible.
Well, good news. That's going to happen.
Yeah. sooner rather than later. So that's great. So all the plans went for a toss, and when this thing break out means I had been at that point of time saying, hey, means CIOs, leaders, they need to think of their 30, 60, 90, 120-day plans. And the 30 days means, as we all expected, focused on this thing has happened. It is unexpected. How do we even keep working kind of thing? So all the energy was focused on making this work from home thing work, and make sure everybody has the connectivity and all that kind of good stuff. Now, as we have progressed into it, now the reality has sunk in, means this is there, this has stayed for a while. So what needs to happen now as we uh, again start getting back into work, or into this new environment where most of the work will be happening from home, where many companies have taken a big hit in terms of their revenue streams. What needs to change for the world of IT? So if we were going through a pandemic and pandemic blues, how do we get out of that? So that's what I thought I would cover today.
Awesome. So why don't we kind of like start with square one first, a little bit more context on who Deepak is, and what makes you qualified to talk about this today. Like, let's get a little bit more about your background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So means I have been in this space for many years now. Basically worked as an IT leader in leading companies like Bausch and Lomb and Xerox, and then later on consulted with the C-suite clients as part of Accenture's CIO advisory practice. And now currently working with many different companies, helping them tide over these deal with the current circumstances, as well as keep thinking about the new and innovative, because believe you me, there is life after the pandemic too, and the companies which are best equipped to deal with it are the ones which are most likely to succeed. So yeah, that's what I years of experience and willingness to share that experience, and ability to think about what lies ahead is I think what qualifies me to be on this show for the third time now.
Third time, man. Yeah. So let's break it down some more. So what do you think it is? Business resiliency, cost optimization. Like, where do you start? Like, where? First of all, who in these organizations does it start with, and how? How does one begin to practice this?
Okay, so the first when we were discussing what should we discuss, and we came up with this topic, I think I thought that the one of two critical ways to deal with the pandemic and to come out of it are business resilience and cost optimization. So let's take them one by one. Let's start with business resilience. So when I'm talking about business resilience too, I look at it in as a continuum of four different things. So it is people, process, technology, and information. So, and almost anything related to technology, when I look at it in context of these four different things: people, process, technology, and information. Technology in isolation cannot deliver anything, cannot do anything. You have to always look at it in context of these four different things. So let's start with people resilience. So people resilience is all about grit. It's about tough times don't last, tough people do kind of thing. It's the ability to make those changes which will help you come out of a circumstance. So Kyle, you yourself exhibited some of that resilience when you said, hey, this pandemic may be a time when you can relocate from the Dallas area where you were living in to Austin and start anew from there kind of thing. So that's an example of resilience of a person based on how the circumstances have evolved, making a decision and quickly executing it. Does that resonate, Kyle? Does it play to your resilience part? Is it indicative?
Yeah, being resilient, I mean, you can sub in being adaptable into that as well. I mean, resilience, adaptability, almost one and the same, slightly different, right? But it's just about being able to like see the change, recognize the change, recognize that you need to change to match that change, and adapting, right? And you might be afraid of it at first because fear is a natural response. but embracing that and practicing, adopting grit, like you said. Tough people beat tough times, right? So adopting all those practices and principles and just going forward anyway. Even though you don't, there is no path because no one's ever done this before. No one's ever been in this exact, well, they have, but no one that we can reach out and like have them guide us. And just like, we're creating the path that we're on right now. We're creating it as we go. We're building the plane as we're falling out off the cliff,
Yeah. So means well said, Kyle. And so that what that needs is a particular mindset. It's a mindset which means that I can be beat, but I won't be down. Kind of mindset. So I will come back to that again, but then moving on to so we talked about people resilience, and then the next one is process resilience. And in process resilience, I'm talking about flexibility and adaptive learning. So your adaptability comes in that. So both of them. So our processes need to be flexible. Processes need to be able to deal with the circumstances. If your processes are geared to physical entry into a building and then no longer people are able to enter into a building, will they be able to change when people are are working from home? Like if some company had a process which said, you know what, only those people who have swiped their badge at the main gate in the morning will be able to log into their systems, then obviously that process needs to change because nobody is swiping their badge into the system to get into the building. So is the process flexible enough to deal with it? So the process would need to be flexible. And then I said adaptive learning, which as it is relevant for individuals, it is relevant for processes also. Means the processes don't have to be hidebound. They need to change with the times. They need to change. They need to have the ability to change as new circumstances come. And I think many IT professionals can relate to it, because how a process behaves is in terms of the boundary conditions we impose on it when we are defining the process. So now when you are coding about something, you may need to give more flexibility of allowing the variables to be changed dynamically or on the basis of the situations as they are evolving, kind of thing. Kyle, question bubbling in your head?
Well, a question from Raymond. Raymond King out there watching. Hello, Raymond. He was on the show was it last week? Yeah. He said, good point about grit and individual resilience. What about business continuity planning for the unknown? I think we are leading up to that.
Yeah. So sure. We are leading up to that. So Raymond, no points to you for stealing my thunder. So we had people resilience, we had process resilience, and the third thing I was coming to was technology resilience. And in technology resilience, I'm talking about continuity, redundancy, and disaster preparedness. So that is, So absolutely.
But to your point, you can't get there. You can't. Yeah. You don't believe you can get there to that business, the continuity planning for the unknown, without the first two, the people and process.
So even if they are not sequential, I think all these four things: the people resilience, the process resilience, the technology resilience, and the information resilience, which I'll be covering, they all come together as a bundle. If you take one of them out, you still won't be able to function. So the best.
So they are important codependently.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Kyle. Yeah, they are independent. They are important and they build off each other, kind of thing. So if you are, and sometimes a strong technology resilience can deal with some parts which are missing in the people resilience, kind of thing. So they complement each other and make the whole stronger than the individual parts. So coming to Raymond's point, which was a great question, Raymond, jokes apart. On technology resilience means continuity, redundancy, and disaster preparedness means they are key. Continuity means how do processes keep running, notwithstanding whatever comes up. Redundancy is if something fails, is there something else to pick it up and keep moving the ball forward. And disaster preparedness means always, hey, if lightning were to hit this data center, will I still be able to function using something else? So that kind of thing. So that's the technology preparedness part. Now, traditionally, one would have stopped at people, process, and technology. But these days means information resilience is also very, 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 very critical. And information resilience is around ability to protect and sustain critical information assets throughout their entire life cycle. So, how do you ensure that your information assets also stay secure, also stay accessible throughout the entire life cycle when dealing with the situation like COVID? So even if you may have all the information, but if you're not able to access it because of pandemic induces certain changes or things, means you need to be sure about it. And
When you say information resilience, like the first thing that comes to my mind is like I'm thinking about like real world examples from like customers that I've serviced in the past and experiences that I've had, and like I see these two polar opposites, and I see them like clear as day. I see the company that has like information overload. They got all this information, all these data lakes, data warehouses, whatever you want to fancy jargon you want to call it. So much information, they don't even know what to do with it. And then I see the other end of the spectrum, like they have zero information. They've not built any processes. They don't have the right people in there. They don't have the right technology to even capture the information, to even know, to even begin to do anything with it. And like, there's a lot of people, most people are in the middle, but like I see those two polar opposites and I come across them quite often. And, as we're talking about that, what do you think that is? And what is the disconnect there?
Means I think some of it has been is driven by the nature of the business people are in, because some businesses by their very nature they create a large amount of data. So if you are in the banking sector, you are in the financial sector, even if you are in any sector where there are connected devices and the devices are sending back information, so whether you want it or not, you have a lot of information. For example, I worked many years in Xerox, which, as you know, is a copier, a multifunction device, which they said printer, copier, fax devices used to be there. They all used to be connected devices, more than 1.5 million out there in the country, all sending back information. So the primary use for that information was to determine the billing. So that data was critical. So that, all attention got focused on the data which was related to generating the bill. So that is the critical data. But it is sending back a lot of data around ink consumption or health of the machine and all that. So that is something which is parked in data lakes, and for many years people didn't, means you got it, you don't know what to do with it, kind of thing. But
right.
But then means smarter people, as technology has evolved, as tools have evolved, as AI and ML have come into play, you know what, maybe that data could be used to figure out when the next breakdown will happen based on what the usage pattern is. Means those kinds of analysis have started happening. So the amount of data which a company may depend on the nature of its business. And second is, means some companies would say, you know what, why do we don't care for this data, so we won't keep it. But these days, I think almost all businesses are realizing that monetizing their data is as critical as monetizing products and services. So
would you rather be working with a company that has too much data or a company that has not enough data?
I think so data by itself means then it gets characterized in two kinds.
Information. Too much information or not enough.
Too much information. So information or data means could be two types. One we call the slow data, one we call fast data. So these days means lot of stuff can be done using the fast data without needing to have that slow data, which is the historical data. Is the slow data. It is just parked there. It is available if you want. It can be mined. But
the archives,
the archives kind of thing, which is the bulk of the data. But a lot of thing is right now, what of stuff is happening with the fast data, which is like, you know what, Kyle entered this store right now, and I know that he has entered this store. Can I send an advertisement to him on his cell phone? So that is fast data. That is based on real time, what is coming in right now. So there needs to be a healthy mix of slow and fast data. But you, because how you present that fast data to Kyle, how do you provide you need to provide that advertisement to Kyle at that particular instant. That comes from the fast data piece. But what do you send to him in that message needs to come from the slow data, because I have the history knowing that when Kyle enters this store, he's more likely to move to the tennis shoes side rather than the baseball shoes side. So maybe a message about tennis shoes should pop up on his cell phone.
No, those are excellent points between the delineation between slow data and fast data. I really like that. But we also don't know what we want to know 5 years from now, whatever, in the future. We don't know what we wanted, what we wish we knew. We don't know that yet, right? So is it better just to have more data then? Just in case, because we don't know what we're gonna look back and want to know, right?
Yeah. Means it obviously, yes, because you the more you have, later on you may find the technology to use it, and you can correlate it with certain other things which you had never thought you could do, because so it never hurts having the data.
Yeah. So Robin Austin says the issue is how to automate capture and classification of your data. This means determining what to capture before you capture it, which is also pretty wise too, because now you're exactly looking for that specific data.
So yeah, I mean, great question, Robin. Yeah, because if you because data capture is not, you'll have to have the systems to store the data, to archive, but technology is working to our advantage. Means earlier on, databases used to be like very, very structured, very, very formally defined kind of thing. These days means unstructured data, voice data, images, means anything can be stored and archived, and then later on figured out what you want to do it. That's the beauty of AI and machine learning, and to that extent means. But then again means historical data, and I'm going off on a slight tangent, but it is still relevant because this data thing came about. The nature of historical data we have in this world of machine learning and AI also determines the path which the future would take. For example, to give an example, so when they started training these machine learning algorithms to identify whether an image is of a doctor or is not of a doctor. So the image is presented and the AI has to tell whether it's a doctor or is not a doctor. So obviously the algorithm has been trained using a database of doctor images. Now guess what? That database of doctor images has got all male doctors in it, because most of the doctors through history have been male doctors. The number of female doctors has been very less. So now you have a situation where, because you have used a biased data set, it has the inability to identify doctors. So when it sees a female with a stethoscope, it will say nurse, it will not say doctor, because it assumes, because the training database has got a lot of female nurses in it and male doctors in it, so it assumes that the image with the stethoscope is a nurse rather than a doctor. So that's another topic around ethical AI and how do you make AI unbiased kind of thing. So the training data sets, the historical data, the point was that historical data has a relevance in the future. Okay. And it may need some corrections also.
Awesome. We're getting some interesting comments on Twitch. Keep it up, guys. You're making me laugh here. So Deepak, as we talked about the strategy, right? So let's talk about like the tactical side of it, right? Talking about business resiliency during these times, right? You talked about the people, the process, the technology, and the information. But now, like, how do you get tactical? Like, how do you actually do that?
Yeah. So means. Each one of these would need to be addressed separately. So people resilience means you need to have good tabs on how your people are doing. So I'm already in fact today only I got a message which was talking about how companies are now giving people time to get a break from this pandemic kind of thing. So pandemic breaks or something like that, because people have been working harder and longer during the pandemic because they're working from home. There is no natural bookend to the day. Productivity has gone up. People are working longer hours. And so burnout has started happening. So if you want to maintain that resilience, if you're a smart company, you would say the tactical response is, you know what, people, we need to now change the way we are monitoring the impact of all this on people, and then give them breaks to deal with what's to recuperate or from it, so that we don't have burnouts. So that's an example of how a company can help its people stay resilient, because uh, assuming that this people can keep on performing at this level for extended periods of time without having a breakdown means that's incorrect. So there needs to be that. In terms of process resilience, means this is a good opportunity to eliminate redundant processes. A lot of the things, and in fact, it has already brought about a big mindset, in the sense, lot of companies had so many um, archaic rules around working from home.
Yeah, they did.
Means,
They
yeah,
did. Yeah, definitely
yeah,
across the board. It's very.
yeah. It was like it means it was like against the culture. Like, if you would, the assumption was that if you are saying you want to work from home, basically you wanted to shirk. You wanted to sit at home in your pajamas and do some household stuff or whatever, and not want
Yeah,
to
the
work.
assumption is that you're at home, you're not working. Like that was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the common assumption, I guess.
And see, in a day that assumption had switched, and now I think it's like, okay, it means work from home is the new norm. So all the processes need to change. We're very simple.
So now they're going like the complete opposite. Now they're realizing, oh wow, you guys are way more productive at home. You guys are working longer hours, and now that's actually like kind of we overcorrected a little bit here, because now people are working harder and they're working longer, and that's not good either. There needs to be a balance there too.
Mm-hmm. Because, and the another part is happening is that what is happening is companies never liked when people used to bring their home to work kind of thing. You know what? You can't be spending time at work, always checking your kids' volleyball program or this or that or whatever. So it's like, oh, you're bringing your home to work kind of thing. But now what has happened is the company has taken over the home, and in many cases, so in US and other places, people have the luxury of large homes, and every kid is in their different corner and all that kind of thing. But in other countries, means people live in smaller homes, and so if you basically you're encroaching upon your kids and your spouse's space and time by being on the laptop and working in that space. So the companies have encroached into the houses of individuals. So that's another dilemma which society as such would have to figure out, like, what are the boundaries, how do those boundaries get imposed. But coming to tactical means so on in terms of process, that tactically, and in terms of technology means lot of work can be done right now in terms of and we are seeing that happen, and it's a mix, it's a double-edged sword, in the sense is companies are putting more focus in automating processes, like getting robotic process automation and all in right now, because knowing they're finding that lot of these make more processes no touch processes, less touch by individuals, less reliance on human aspect of doing things. Because suppose you had a process where a paper needed to be scanned by someone sitting in an office kind of thing, so obviously that step needs to go from the process. Now nobody's walking into the office with that sheet of paper. So now once you decided to eliminate that process step, you say, hey, how do I automate the rest of it also? Why don't I take out all the other human touch points? If the human was doing a signature verification, can't that be done using optical recognition? If the human was just looking at the face of the person, can't that be done by image scanning? So those kind of tactical things will start happening. So
yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of companies are looking to pare down, right? So maybe they had maybe the employees had 7 screens to get done a simple task, or to take care of customer experience, for example, right? Like experience, like you call into their call center and their phone rings on their computer. Then they got this other app that's your account. Then they got Salesforce open over here, and they all these things that are popping up. Like I think we're just looking to like pare that down to like how can we simplify that as easy as possible for that employee that work from anywhere, use any device, work from anywhere. But instead of 7 screens, now it's maybe 3. And the goal is getting it down to 1, but maybe we got it from 7 to 3. And for right now, that's working. And for right now, that's where we're trying to get to, because you get to that point, you get a better employee experience. Now, guess what? You get a better customer experience. You get a better customer experience. Now your revenue is being sustained, or your revenue is increasing because of that, because people are coming back to you. Right? So I mean, it's all related to growing and maintaining a healthy business.
Absolutely, yeah. Means lots of innovation is being, like, who would have thought, like, so quickly all education would be delivered online, kind of thing. So even kindergarten and like first graders and all are getting education. It used to be the Khan Academy and Coursera and like selective courses, and some universities offering some courses, and so universities have had to swivel and pivot and say, you know what, all our content can be made available via online classes, kind of thing. And in that also means, as you are doing that, means new. So like a high schooler could take down the entire Miami or someplace, the system down by launching a denial of service attack because he didn't want to attend virtual school that day, kind of thing. So so that's part of the resilience part, where school systems will have to think of that. So teachers assume that they're making this stuff available, and kids, young little kids are going to attend those classes. But many times those kids are smarter than their teachers in terms of the use of the technology. They've already figured out a way how to beat the system and bring it down also. So those are some unique challenges.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's pivot over to cost optimization, right? Like that seems to, like, is it just me, or is that like really that is like a hot button item right now for many corporations right now?
It absolutely is, because many of the top advisors to companies, means as soon as the pandemic hit, one of the first pieces of advice they were giving was conserve cash. Because means if you have cash in the bank, you're good, and that holds true for personal finances, that holds true for corporate finances, because that gives you the ability to withstand whatever is happening for a longer period of time if you have money in the bank. So how do companies conserve cash? One is and especially when your revenue is coming down, the only way of conserving cash is by cutting cost.
And sometimes that means cutting people, unfortunately.
Yeah, cutting
technology.
Yeah, cutting people, cutting technology. So but then the smarter ones would say, you know what, I don't want to cut cost per se, I want to optimize. So I didn't say cost cutting, I said cost optimization.
Right.
The difference between cutting means you just cut the cost, means okay, this thing is not going to happen, we're just getting rid of it. Cost optimization means that you are still spending, but you are spending on the things which are going to give you the most value, and you're cutting cost on the stuff which is not delivering immediate value. So in terms of a process perspective, what does that mean is that every element of cost, so when you come up with something which is likely to incur cost, you have to weigh it not in terms of, I spent this much on it last year, so okay, I can cut from it, or I can increase it or reduce it, but do I actually need it? What if I'm starting from zero, would I be incurring this cost or not? So an important approach which is being followed, which is an old approach which has got reinvigorated now, is the whole zero-based budgeting. And so many companies have launched, means consulting companies have launched offerings around the zero-based budgeting concept, which is basically mean, at a very basic level, it means is that question every aspect of cost, question it ab initio, question it right from do I need to incur it? Because traditionally what used to happen in companies is okay, on app modernization I spent 1 million last year, so if you want to cut costs, it means you'll spend 800,000 this year. But in terms of the zero-based budgeting, it would be, do you need to spend even 800,000? Do you need to spend even the first dollar you are spending? What is the justification for spending 800,000? So that's the difference in mindset which has come into play. So a lot of focus on cost is definitely there.
Yeah, absolutely. From your experience, from the work that you do, Do you have any examples, or not without getting too specific, but any examples that you can share, like some case studies or just what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, means so where the costs are. So a lot of the one can say is that a lot of the long drawn projects means they have had been put on hold, kind of thing. So that's the easiest way of reducing costs for most companies is like reducing costs for most companies is like sorry, there was an echo.
Yep. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so is to first is you cut the discretionary spend. So anything which was not planned for, you are not allowed to spend. So a lot of the IT projects which were part of discretionary spend, so this was this cool new thing which the CIO wanted to try out, or the innovation officer thought could be tried, means that would get hit because it is discretionary. It's not part of the core spend which was going on. So if you are a vendor which is dealing mostly with discretionary spend, which companies do, means you take a big hit because companies are not making that discretionary spend. So then the onus on that vendor is, how do I make this discretionary spend a part of the critical spend of the company? So you have to either pivot your offering or change it in a way which makes it more relevant for what the company is looking for. So and I'm just making this up as a hypothetical one, but Kyle, you can add to it. So if you're a seller of communication technology or to companies, so maybe they don't want to spend on it, but you know that your communication technology can be provided a wrapper of return to work kind of thing. You know what? So or contact tracing or COVID tracking kind of thing. So you'll pivot to make those changes and say, you know what we are offering is a return to work solution. So it allows all your employees who are returning to work stay in touch with each other and trace their contacts. So that thing would sell. Like a company selling doors will say, you know what, we have an automated door which, as you walk in, it measures your temperature. So adding the temperature sensor to the door, which would be an easy thing to do, would be now. So the door might be a discretionary spend, but the door with temperature sensor is a critical spend. So it means you need to pivot like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we got a question from Francis. From your experience, which non-discretionary expenses have the most value in optimizing? It's a great question.
Yeah, that's a very great question. So I guess means any expense which delivers the least business value would be the first to go. So there would need to be a matching between the cost and the value which it is delivering. And the value could be measured in two different ways. One is its potential to generate revenue, and the second is its potential in eliminating further costs. So sometimes you have to incur a cost because you want to reduce further costs down the line. So if you blindly are reducing costs, you may end up cutting costs which would have led to reduction of more costs later on. So suppose as part of blind cost reduction, you said, I will cut down the innovation person. And so you remove the innovation guy, but the innovation guy had some 10 ideas about how other costs could be removed. And so now you don't have visibility to how you can reduce those 10 costs. So I think so you have to, and similarly in terms of costs which expenses or costs which provide revenue generation potential, means those would be the last to go, because they will be delivering value. So if you are a retailer and you have a cost which will allow more people to visit the store, it's a cost, but it is enabling people to enter come into the store, means you would still want to incur that cost.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. What would you say has been the biggest surprise for you over the last couple months here in your work?
I think the biggest surprise, I would say, is means I've been pretty impressed by the way, means at least the how this whole retail sector has responded to the thing, especially the grocery retail sector, in terms of whether it's Amazon or Walmart or Kroger or whatever, means how they have ramped up their ability to keep the stores open, offer many different ways by which you can go into the store to pick up the product. You can pick up the product from outside the store. You can stay at home and the product be delivered at your doorstep. And the threshold of it showing up at your doorstep has been reduced further and further. Means it used to be days, then it turned into next day, and now it is like you order in the morning and it's there in 2 or 3 hours time, kind of thing. So that's remarkable. Means and it's all technology driven. And the second one is means how this ability of even what we generally thought are systems which are slow to change, how quickly they have also responded. So the higher education or school education means they have also so quickly swiveled to deal with these circumstances. Sometimes people don't realize that. Means that's the underappreciated side. Means the educators and people also need kudos in the way they have responded. And means I know that within companies, like when we started using WebEx and stuff like that, I mean, there were a lot of challenges in terms of just using the technology. Am I muted? Am I not muted? All that kind of stuff. Now, just magnify that, and dealing with so many kids and doing that means it's remarkable indeed. Yep.
Awesome. What did I miss? What else would you have wanted to discuss that I didn't prompt you on?
No, this is means I think means each one of us needs to stay focused, and means this too will be behind us pretty soon. So I'm optimistic. What this has done is it has allowed certain technological changes to get further accelerated. And so as technology professionals, means what is paramount for us is how do we stay ahead of that curve. And at some points of time, it may appear that it is too overwhelming because one doesn't know which tech. So if you say, you know what, everything is going on to the cloud, I will become a cloud guy. So whether do I become an Azure guy, or do I become a Google Cloud guy, or do I become the third Oracle Cloud, or whichever cloud is there, Amazon Web Services guy. So it is giving. It poses those, or and then okay, should I become a Salesforce guy? And then a third person, if you had Tom Sweet here, he would say Kubernetes is everything. You need to become the Kubernetes or Docker guy. So
it's overwhelming, right? It's overwhelming. There's a lot of different paths. I mean, there's a different. You got to basically like find what path that you're comfortable with and kind of like see it through, right? Stick through it.
Yeah, and as you stick through it, means I think the bigger thing would be is to know that what you are picking up earlier generation, I will say my generation, when you picked up something you thought it would last you a lifetime. Now it is you are picking something up which you know might be a year down the line. You may need to be ready to, it's obsolete, and you need to be ready to pick up something again. So it's not, the tool itself is not important.
You got to be the most adaptable to change.
Yes.
You got to be adaptable.
Most adaptable. Yep.
Yeah. So Francis had another great question here. What technology tools do you use to help your business track value?
That's a great one. I don't I know of some tools, but I'll have to look them up. I don't have them off the top of my head, but there are specific tools out there which help the business.
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yeah, because I've been going through this exercise recently. I have some public announcements to make pretty soon, but right now, got to leave them hush hush right now. But we've been building inside of Salesforce, right? And Salesforce is just a platform, just like Oracle, just like any other platform. Everyone has the same tools. It's just like here's the access, and what you do with it is basically on your own. There's basic tools, basic functions, but what you build on top of it would give you that business value, right? And it's all about capturing the data, right? Capturing the data that you need to capture. Like as Robin said earlier, let me find our comment. Capture the data that you want based on the determination of what you need to capture, right? Determining what you need to capture before you capture it. So you do that, and then once you build that in, and you build that in for your, whatever your business is doing, you're capturing all that data. Your new customers come in, you're capturing the revenue, you're capturing what they bought, you're capturing what they like, you're capturing the relationship that there. Then from there, you have that data, and now you can use that data to prove your value. So now that data becomes the value, it becomes your own intellectual property inside of your company. And that is how you can express value. That's my opinion of it. Again, there's more than one ways to do it. That's the way that we're doing it.
So there was this interesting anecdote, and it comes from way back in my past. So I'd attended a training course one where the same question was there around how do people realize that you have delivered value? Like sometimes, especially on the technology side, you may be delivering value, but the person may not be realizing it. And the professor had given the example of how in certain places, when in a hotel or something, when the toilet used to be clean, then after that, the maid used to put a strip across it showing that the toilet had been cleaned, a paper strip which goes in some hotels. You may have seen it. So now when you lift the toilet seat up, you have to actually take that strip off, which is reminding you that someone cleaned the toilet, because otherwise that value which was delivered was not realized by the individuals. So this was a way of making it. So I think to your point, means you need to have the data about the value, and then you need to build that hook which makes people realize that value has been delivered. Because sometimes, the point being that value may be delivered, but people may not realize that value is there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. To your point, man, you could have the exact same data. It could be like left and right. Deepak and Kyle have the exact same data, but Deepak is presenting it in a way that appears to be more valuable than the way that I'm presenting it right now. Therefore, you perceive Deepak's company to be more valuable because of the way that they articulated the data. And that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to having the data, capturing what you know that you need to capture, and possibly capturing what you aren't sure that you need to capture, but you do it anyway, because down the road, who knows? And then it's all about getting really, really, really good at presenting that data in the best way possible.
Yeah, and in presenting, I think a lot of emphasis had shifted these days to rather than just presentation, to storytelling, because apparently stories are what stick to people's minds. So in big consulting companies and everything, they were like, everybody was being trained in storytelling. So even if you have data, how do you tell the story using the data? Because ultimately it's the art of storytelling which is most important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Siraj said this applies to landing pages too. I think it most definitely does. I'm not a landing page expert. I've dabbled, but it's just about whoever presents the best landing page. Whoever presents the best landing page. I mean, that's what converts or doesn't convert, right? So it's kind of the same with data. I mean, it really becomes almost does become a marketing play, looking at the data, right, to prove your value. Definitely. He said also that companies should sell on transformations and value instead of features. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Means companies should sell what the customer wants. Means that is the first thing. So if it depends on what market you are in. If you are in a market where the customer is looking for features, means you have to go for features, or you need to be a person like Steve Jobs who's able to give the customers what they even don't know they want, but he thinks what they want, kind of thing. So that's what he had said. I mean, the customer, one saying goes, customer is always right, and then you have Steve Jobs who says customer doesn't know what he wants. So
I agree with both of those.
Yeah,
depending on the day.
Yeah,
because the customer doesn't know. Customer's not always right. We want to be. And we often don't know what we want until we see it. So both. Yeah. So Deepak, we're wrapping up here. You ready for 5 more questions? I got
Yeah.
five more questions for
Oh,
you.
you still do that thing? Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's different now. It's a little bit different now.
Okay.
Here we go. We're going to pick up the pace here a little bit. What is the most important thing you've ever learned in life?
The most important thing I've ever learned in life, I'll pick one which you have been saying very often, and I really believe it is the adaptability to change is the most important thing in life. So
How did you learn that?
it's just by I have never, I think by nature I've tried to remain technology agnostic, tool agnostic. So the concept itself interests me rather than, okay, I may be interested in a database. That doesn't mean I need to become an Oracle guy. I'm interested in telephony. That doesn't mean I become an AT&T guy. It means I can be all across kind of thing. So that urge to be, I always wanted to be a generalist more than a specialist. So that's my personal quirk, and that's why I've been adaptable to change.
Awesome. What makes you feel inspired or just like your best self?
I think when I'm connecting with people. So I think when you are able to exchange ideas in a very constructive way, have meaningful conversations like what we are having right now. So right now I'm feeling pretty charged up and pretty good. If I was not having this conversation, I would not be feeling as charged up or good. So Kyle, you get credit for that. In the sense, it's the interaction which inspires me.
Very extroverted. Then you get all your energy externally. Awesome. Well, I think we've asked you this question before. Maybe it's changed. We'll go back and compare. What is the single best book you've ever read or would recommend to others?
I think that has I have not read the one which I'm reading right now is about the gene. I think it's called The Gene, which is about the human genome and the gene kind of thing. But I don't know. It's a book which I would recommend. But the last time I had mentioned Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, which is still a good book, a must read for everyone. Another one which I read recently was called State of Anarchy, but which was a historical book. It was more around how the East India Company, which was a trading company established in 1600, around 1600s, became a global superpower, ruling so many countries, kind of thing. So it juxtaposed it against how big corporations can run havoc also, kind of thing. So that's what the book wanted to convey.
Nice, awesome. And if you could have dinner with anyone that has ever lived, who would it be and why?
I would go for Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. All right.
Yeah. Why? Because I would like to understand how his brain worked, why he did what he did, kind of stuff.
Okay. Awesome. What do you think you'd ask him?
What made you tick?
Yeah. Nice. I'm picturing like dinner on an apple farm with him. Like maybe there's LSD in the picture or not. Who knows? In my mind.
I'm not going there.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Cool. And last question. Now that you're dialed in for the third time, what does being dialed in mean to you? And then we'll wrap.
Yeah, it's fun, it's informative, it's energy, and it's a must attend. All your viewers should make it a point that they.
So what does it mean to you? What is being dialed in? Like, what is that term? Like Deepak, you are dialed in. Like, what does that mean to you?
What it means?
Get the phrases though too, but what does it mean to you? Like Deepak said, you are now dialed in. Like, what does that mean to you?
That means I'm open, I'm candid, I'm engaging in a conversation. Means that's what means dialed in. Means I'm 100% in.
Awesome. I appreciate you being on the show again, Deepak. Thanks for dropping the wisdom on us with business resiliency and cost optimization. Good stuff, guys. Go connect with Deepak on LinkedIn. Deepak, if you want to go on LinkedIn later and drop your handle here, that way they can find you. Otherwise, I'll make sure you're tagged to this post. Connect with him, reach out to him. You're get all your energy from the external, so you love connecting with people and having conversations like this. So take him up on this.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks, Kyle. Looking forward to coming the 4th time now.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll plan for it. Cool. Thank you, sir.
Okay. See ya.
Cool. Guys, all right. Thanks for tuning in today. We got another great show lined up for next Tuesday. I don't have the banner for that one made yet, but Jessica Nemers is coming up next week. Chief Information Security Officer. So it's good stuff. Look for that. And again, guys, thank you everyone for attending. If you want to see something really funny, go over on Twitch and look at some of the comments that we got there. But until then, I'll leave you guys with that.